Welcome to Weight Loss with Plants, brought to you by the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies. I'm your host, Sharme Ridley. Our guest today has dealt with weight issues most of her life. She then found tremendous success when she embraced a whole food plant-based way of eating. For almost a decade now, she has maintained a weight loss of more than 230 pounds and has dedicated her life to sharing with others the healing powers of this lifestyle. Please welcome Karla Fries. Karla, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Sharm. Thank you so much for asking me.
Well, let's just start right off. Tell us about your struggles with weight loss.
I actually was overweight my whole life. Now, back in the 60s and the 70s, um, we didn't have a lot of overweight people because we hadn't gotten a lot of the processed foods or anything like that. So I was in chubby clothes when I was a child, and then the older I got, the more processed food we got, and it seemed to just pile on. I remembered my eighth grade lunches. Every day for lunch in eighth grade was Cheetos and a cherry Coke. And I'm thinking back on that, and I'm like, ugh, that was that was horrible. But so I was overweight. I remember being on a diet pretty much my whole life. My mother had me on my first diet when I was in fifth grade. My mother also put me on, or had the doctor put me on, thyroid medicine in sixth grade. Even though I didn't have a thyroid issue, she had heard that that would help me lose weight. She was very petite and very small in stature. So I was bigger than her. So she just was constantly on me about my weight. She just was always saying I was overweight.
What was the highest that you remembered getting to?
I weighed 371 pounds at my highest weight. And that was on the doctor's scale because my scale at home only went to 300. So
Wow. Okay, so what led you to a plant-based way of eating?
what actually led me there was my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and that was the summer of 2012. And I realized that I had several relatives that had had Alzheimer's, and I started thinking, oh my gosh, this maybe means I'm going to have Alzheimer's. So I went into the internet and just said, how do I prevent Alzheimer's? And I started getting some plant-based doctors that came up, and then I just started researching and researching and researching. And that's how I initially found plant-based eating.
But you actually lost weight initially. Um, Tell us that whole story. How did all that come about?
I did. I have really been very healthy my whole life, despite being overweight. And even being obese as I was, the only health issue I had had was I would have been diagnosed with sleep apnea in 2007. In 2008, January, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol. Well, I had never been sick before, and I didn't want to be sick now. So I told the doctor, what do I need to do? What's the plan? And he sent me to a dietitian. He sent me to a diabetes education program for like 6 weeks. I did everything that they told me to do. The food was low carb, high protein, and no sugar. And I did that for like 3 years. Followed what the doctor said. I lost a great amount of weight, like over 100 pounds. But I still had diabetes. I still had high cholesterol. At the time, I was on medicine for anxiety. I was on medicine for psoriasis that I had on my legs and my arms. I had plantar fasciitis. I had gum disease. And a lot of other health issues. So when I would go back to the doctor every 6 months for my checkup, he'd say, you're doing great, take the medicine, you're doing great, take the medicine. And I said, I don't want to take the medicine. I don't want to have diabetes. I don't want to be sick. That's the whole reason I'm following this diabetes program. And he said, oh, you're always going to have the medicine. You're always going to have diabetes.
But
So,
then you found the whole food plant-based. How was that transition?
well, initially, I was just frustrated with him and the fact that I still had diabetes. And so I went back to a standard American diet in the middle. And I started gaining a lot of that weight back that I had lost on the diabetes diet. And so Then my mother had been diagnosed, and I found the plant-based eating. So by the time I found plant-based eating, I had gained a lot of that 100 pounds back. Um, the research, once I initially determined plant-based might be an option to alleviate or prevent Alzheimer's, which was my goal at that point in time. As the doctors, as I read books, medical studies, scientific studies, watched documentaries, I did all this for about 6 months. And as I said, this is in 2012. At right at Christmas time of 2012, I saw the documentary Forks Over Knives, and that was my catalyst. And that was a Sunday. And on Monday, I got rid of all the food in my house. I either threw it away or gave it to neighbors and got all new food. And on Tuesday, that was my Christmas present to myself. Now, it was just vegan at that point in time, basically cutting animal products out. I didn't know enough. We don't know what we don't know. So all we can do is, as we're learning, we just improve and what resonates and what makes sense. So then about a
So
year
what are
later.
some of the things that you eat on a regular basis? Kind of walk us through that, especially at the beginning when you finally went whole food plant-based.
Sure. It took me about a year to find the whole food plant-based. And so I've been doing that since December of 2013. I eat very, very simply. I did not get the cooking gene, even though I will make some recipes sometimes, like a big batch of something on the weekend to eat on through the week. I typically eat very simply. I eat a lot of like the tray, like a cookie sheet of roasted vegetables that I just put in the oven and season. I eat a lot of potatoes and sweet potatoes, rice and broccoli, a lot of salads, a lot of cauliflower. And then I try to throw in like peppers and onions and mushrooms and stuff like that to just get the variety is also key for me to make sure I would have all kinds of nutrients and vitamins, but it's very simply, I eat oats for breakfast along with some kale that's sauteed. So I eat a lot of like stir fry, but it's not really fry because I don't eat oil. But just put a whole bunch of greens and different vegetables in a big skillet.
Well, when you finally went whole food plant-based, or even when you started eating vegan, when did you start noticing some results in your health?
I would say immediately with my energy level. I could not believe my energy level. And then within probably 3 or 4 months, I got off my diabetes medicine and my high cholesterol medicine. Probably 6 months or so, I was off of the anxiety medicine, and the psoriasis was going away. And then probably another month or so after that, actually the sleep apnea went away. So everything in probably 6 to 8 months. At that time in my life, I don't remember how old I was then, but for my age to be on no medicine, and still I'm 64 now, to be on no medicine is quite unusual in this day and age.
So altogether, how much have you lost? And then share some more non-scale victories with us.
I have lost a total of 236 pounds, and non-scale victories are the best. The energy is amazing. I probably have more energy than I've had in 40 years. I say that from when I was in my early 20s because it's like magic. Everything that has happened is like magic. So my eyesight got better. My eye doctor had to change my prescription for better. My hair is curlier and thicker. My nails are thicker. I have no more medicine. I'm not on any more medicine. The psoriasis was kind of bad. So I had gum disease. That's all gone. My plantar fasciitis is gone. I thought a lot of that had to do with my weight, but I've come to know lately, since I've been doing more research, that it's about inflammation in the body. And the animal products cause so much inflammation in the body. And that was where a lot of my improvements was because I don't have the animal products.
Right. And there's some things that you couldn't do before that you can do now as well, and
Yes.
that you've been able to do. Share some of those with us.
Yes, yes, I got to go zip lining, which was on my bucket list. I've started running a little bit. The local newspaper came and did an article on me, a video series actually for the news, about me starting to run and about my diet and how I had changed my life. I got to go horseback riding, and I hadn't been able to do that since I was a teenager because I was so heavy. Let's see, kayaking, that was also something that was hard to do when I was heavy. And because I had struggled so much with, I had to do a lot of traveling for my job at one time, so I had to do the a lot of airplane, a lot of plane rides. And so the Southwest Airlines attendant one day, she looked at me as I was getting on the plane and she said, "You're going to have to buy another ticket." She said, "There's no way you can sit in one seat. There's no way you can fit." And I said, "Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I will fit." But I had to have a seatbelt extender every time. And of course, that's humiliating to ask the stewardess for that or the flight attendant. I was always trying to whisper that to her because I didn't want anybody to hear me. But of course, if I was in a middle seat, I'm encroaching on everybody else's space. And I felt so bad about that. And now when I fly, I have all this room on either side of my body in the seat. And I'm just like, I still have trouble believing it. I still look in the mirror and I can't believe it's me because I was overweight my whole life.
And I'm sure that your friends, your family, tell us about the dynamics with all of the people around you during your transition.
Well, I had been on a diet my whole life. My family knew I had been on a diet my whole life. And with diets, they don't work, it's restrictions. So you lose a lot of weight and then you gain it back and then you lose a lot and gain it back. So when I told my family I was changing my food, uh, they were like, "Oh, that's great, honey. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you." But I don't think they really believed that it was going to be a long-lasting lifestyle change. And because I saw so many improvements, like you said, not only scale improvements with my weight loss, which wasn't even my goal from the beginning. I wanted to get rid of the diabetes and I wanted to prevent Alzheimer's, and I do eat every day to prevent Alzheimer's. But a lot of the non-scale victories, like you said, it motivates you. You just walk differently through the world because you have this peace about you because you're doing the best you can for your own health, which we have to take responsibility for our own health. The doctors don't know, they're not even all trained. And also, the animals, we're protecting the animals by not eating them. And also with the environment. I mean, I'm not doing anything for the declination against the declination or of the environment. I mean, I'm not hurting the environment. So it's like you just feel better about your overall life and your overall existence in the world.
And what about the doctors along the way? As you were getting off your medicine, what were the responses of your doctors?
My doctor that I worked with for the diabetes, he would never have even considered food as being an option. He's the one that told me you'll always have diabetes. And in the meantime, though, I did move to a different town. So I got a different doctor, and that doctor was very supportive of my food. She's like, anything you can change or improve by food, she says, I'm all for it. Oh, but one thing I forgot when when you were talking about my friends and family, how they responded. Food is such a social situation. So we go out to eat with our friends. And when I wouldn't be able to go out to eat with my friends because I couldn't eat where they were going or I didn't have anything compliant, then my friends would literally get mad at me. They were like, "Well, just one, just once, just you can just eat a little bit. You can just eat a little bit." But I'm a very black and white person, and I have never, absolutely never made the wrong choice on this because I'm eating for my health. You have to want it. You have to want it more than anything in the whole world. And you have to have the right mindset for it. But anybody can do it. Everybody is worthy of optimal health. I had one friend that said it seemed like you were joining a cult. And I was just appalled but she was so angry with me because I wasn't going out to eat with her anymore. And she was hurt and she was suffering from so much chronic disease that was all caused by food. And I kept trying to lead by example. And I would send her articles where she could help improve herself, but she did not make that choice.
Uh, Speaking of eating out, what are some of the strategies that you've employed over the years as far as eating out? Because that can be difficult for people.
It's very difficult. I will many times, depending on where we're going, if I don't know if there's anything there compliant I can eat, and everybody in their group wants to go to this restaurant, then I will call ahead and talk to the chef or talk to someone on staff and explain uh, my restrictions for no animal products, no oil, and no sugar and see what they have available on the menu. Many times I've had them make something special for me. Other times I have simply brought something in my bag and then supplemented with a salad from the restaurant, because as long as I was buying something from the restaurant, I didn't feel bad bringing a few little things. Like one restaurant, they put lard in their beans, and so I brought my own beans, and then I used their pico de gallo, their salsa, their corn tortillas, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you are a graduate of the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies Plant-Based Nutrition Certificate. What was your biggest takeaway from that experience?
What a wonderful program that is. It's so well rounded. It's got such great information. I did want to do that for several years, so I'm very glad that I was able to do that last year. I would say a lot of the information about the nutrition I knew just from simply studying it for so many years, but my biggest takeaway was the fishing industry. I really did know about the agriculture mostly, but the fishing industry and how we are destroying our oceans, and it's just not, it's not safe, and it's poisoning us just like the animals are poisoning us.
Yeah. Well, you've introduced a lot of people to this way of eating. I even met one of the people who you introduced this to, and it was a pleasure talking to her as well. Share your experiences with this.
I have been very fortunate. As I said, I walk the walk every day and I try to lead by example. And when people ask me about it, then I'm happy to share, because it's just like, I know I said it's like magic, but it's like magic, and I just want everybody to experience this. So many of my friends are on 10 medications. They're on a walker. They're on oxygen, 24 hours a day. They're in a wheelchair. They're struggling with chronic disease that could be helped and improved or even possibly reversed by just changing their food. But I can't get that point across. So the ones that I've been able to help are the ones that have asked me questions and have been open to hearing the answers. We're always planting seeds, but have had great health improvements, anywhere from kidney disease being improved, irritable bowel syndrome being improved, diabetes, of course, being improved, tremendous weight loss. Weight loss with plants is like a side effect of us eating for our health. We are eating to be healthy. We're eating for fueling our bodies. And the weight loss is simply a side effect. And it's magnificent, because I really didn't even weigh. I didn't even weigh. I just knew that my clothes were getting, you know, bigger. And on the way down, I would buy all my clothes at thrift stores, because I knew, or I felt like I was going to keep losing and losing and losing, because my original goal was 155 and I got to 135. So isn't that wild?
It really is. And so you might have a person who says to you, well, yeah, well, your situation is not typical. What would you say to that person?
My situation is not typical because I'm a single person living by myself. I can make all the food choices. I would say if you're living in a household with people that do not care to even learn how to eat a plant-based diet, A, you have to really, really want it. And B, you just explain to them that this is your health and you're taking responsibility, and could they please support you in it. If you maybe could put your food in a separate area away from their food, and don't cook in the same, pans. But one thing that I have really learned that has helped people is, just like the dog has dog food and the cat has cat food, you have your food. And when you see something on the table that you maybe is tempting to you, just say, that's not my food. That is not my food. It's very strong mental, courage, and very strong mental direction. But you have to want it. But you can do it. Everybody can do it, and everybody is worthy of optimal health.
Yeah. Now, I love what you did with the library in your hometown. Share that with our guests.
I love that too. Thank you so much for bringing that up. In my hometown, there is a cardiologist who is actually plant based. She is part of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And I was connected with her, and she wanted my cards because she's always prescribes a plant based diet for her patients. So I knew that she's in my hometown. So I went to my hometown library and I said, hey, we've got this cardiologist that's working with the local population. And can I give some books, donate books about plant-based eating to the library? So the library went to the state library system and they got permission. So I gave 7 different books depending on if there was like a need, like there's one on diabetes, there's one on Alzheimer's, there's one on heart disease, that kind of thing. And then I got a couple that were just overall wellness type thing with plant-based eating. And so we did like a little display at the front of the library with my picture, and it said, Karla Freeze, former resident, has changed her life entirely by changing her diet. And she has furnished these books for you to have the resources to change your life. So yes, that's been very, very exciting.
And I love your website. It tells your story so beautifully. What are you hoping to accomplish moving forward?
I lead by example. I hope to plant seeds every day that anybody's around me. There are 2 main things that I really want to accomplish, and I've not made too much stride in either one, but I'm in the process of retiring from accounting. So I hope to spend more time with my plant-based direction and inspiration. But one of them is when my mother was very sick and she was in the retirement facility or even in the memory care facility, the diet, the food that they serve in these places is not optimal for health. So I thought if I could help one of the organization or the institutions or facilities improve, if they could improve their diet by incorporating more plants, then not only would the residences, or excuse me, not only would the residents get better or feel better or have more energy, or maybe have health improvements, but also the staff would have, the opportunity to eat better because they're there. And then what about the relatives of the residents and then the relatives of the staff? So I thought, wow, 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 what like it would like snowball if we could just get the meals in those memory care facilities and those independent retirement facilities to be a little bit healthier and incorporate more plants. That would be great. My other really big one I'm thinking about and trying to figure out how to handle is for those people who are so obese and so overweight, maybe 400 pounds, like I was almost 400 pounds, they have lost all hope and they are considering bariatric surgery. And I would love to be able to talk to them and explain to them that you can do this. Yes, it's challenging. Every single day it's challenging. But once our taste buds change, the food is magnificent. I mean, the flavors just burst. I mean, all the fruits and vegetables that I eat every day, it's like everything is so tasty and so beautifully done. So that would be the 2 main ways that I want to help people.
And tell us the name of your website.
It's purelyplants.co. And my email is purelyplants@yahoo.com. If you have any questions or you just want to shoot me a message, please feel free to.
And you also have a Facebook page as well, correct?
I do. My Facebook page is simply education. And it's medical studies, scientific studies, some inspirational posts, a few recipes here and there, lots and lots of testimonials for people who have changed their lives, just like you can.
All right. Well, I have one more question for you. So
Okay.
let's say there's a person who has heard your story and has a lot of weight to lose and just wants some and is willing to go whole food plant-based. What would your advice be for that person?
I would say again, it's challenging, but do not be afraid to swim against the current because your health is not for sale. This is your health. You have to take responsibility for it. And once your taste buds change, I know I say that, but once your taste buds change, it's magnificent. It's just beautiful. And you will have energy that you haven't seen in years. You will feel better than you've felt in years. And the weight will literally fall off because you're focusing on fueling your body, not losing weight. It's a different mindset. It's a different mindset. And you have to want it. You have to want it.
Well, Karla, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've so enjoyed it. Thank you, Sharme.